Coming up next on Get Caught in a Net.
Get caught in a net with Annette. For your mind, body, and soul. Get caught in a net with Annette. It's your intellectual radio show. Here to inspire you and encourage you to be your very best. Get caught in a net with Annette.
You are now tuned in to Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette, where your host, Annette Harris, analyze intriguing life questions and concerns, such as, do Christians suffer from mental illness? Have you wondered why they act abnormal? Or you may ask, what is really going on in their minds? Do you need Annette? Well, keep listening for a biblical understanding of the psychology of the mind.
Hey, great afternoon, guys. Welcome to another wonderful segment of Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette. I'm your girl, Annette Harris, the host of this wonderful show. I am also your certified mental health ambassador, two-time award-winning author of Surviving a Silenced Heartbeat, and CEO of Get Caught in the Net. You always know that when you come on a Wednesday, it's time for you to come on in and get caught in the net. When you see my face. Listen, I want to encourage you guys to share this live feed. You can tag individuals directly into the live feed. Click the love button, the like, the hearts, the thumb up, if you would not mind doing that for me. Before we get started, Lord, we thank you for all things. We thank you, dear God, for who you are and how you are. We thank you for your many blessings and how you're helping us and instructing us and delivering us. And this is all for your glory. Lord, we thank you for this segment on today and our guest, and we pray that you will get the glory as we learn how to become an overcomer. And the first part of Hosea 4:6 states, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. And again, I'm excited to be here on this afternoon. I'm tagging individuals in, asking you to come on in and join us. I know many of you would join us on as you listen to the recorded segment after the actual live segment has been completed. But let me go ahead and bring in my guest on this afternoon. I'm excited to make her acquaintance, to have her to come in and talk with us on today. Listen, guys, I have but you know how sometimes, you're on Facebook and you meet individuals. You don't necessarily get a chance to meet them in person sometimes, but you can meet individuals and you can have that same passion, that love for God and wanting to make sure that you are doing what God tells you to do. I have done that with this young lady. She reached out to me, and although we've never met in person, we're making our acquaintance, our first meeting on today. And I want you to welcome in Jacqueline Williams, Watchman Jacqueline Williams. And she is the author of a book entitled Overcomer. And if you've seen my posts, you'll know what we're kind of focusing in on today. Jacqueline, how are you?
I am doing well. Thank you for having me on today.
You are so welcome. You're so welcome. when you reached out to me, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And this book, your book itself has a title that is very eye-catching and definitely a conversation starter, if you will. So we're going to talk today, and let me read just a little bit of what I have in about you, a little bit of your background. It says here that you are a watchman, an intercessor, podcast host, and author, of course. You are called to dedicate your life to God. You have been featured in Canvas Rebel magazine. You're a woman who has overcome obstacles and hardships. It says here that she has not only survived, but she became an overcomer. Living in Mississippi, she is a mother, dreamer, a believer in the hope to rise up, to defeat life's challenges, not being a victim, but to become victorious. She describes herself as a charismatic person who has an outgoing, energetic, and likable personality that seems to naturally draw other people to her. Jacqueline has an humble spirit with a great sense of humor. Now, I'm not going to read the other part because I want us to go into talking about, your background with the book and everything. But before we do that, let me ask you. I always do this with my guests. If you would not mind sharing us a little bit about you personally. I know I've read a little bit about you, but talk to us about who Jacqueline is.
Well, I love to help people, especially people that are struggling, with life itself. Uh, I know it's a lot of individuals are looking for ways to become an overcomer.
Yeah.
And life is not always fair, and it throws you curveballs this way and that way. And God has given me that gift and the strength and the determination to become that overcomer so I can begin to give my gift and I am a key to someone's deliverance to show them how they can become an overcomer as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thanks for sharing that. Because a lot of times we may get that question, give me an elevator pitch of yourself, but I love that, because in essence, you're saying, like you said, you love to help people. And guys, I just got through mentioning about how sometimes we meet people on social media and we can have that connection. That's how I am as well, and I believe that kind of connects us, loving to help people and making sure that we're doing, of course, what God has for us to do. So an overcomer is defined as a person who overcomes something, simple enough. One who succeeds in dealing with or gaining control of some problem or difficulty. How can you relate to that definition?
I can relate to it because all of the trials and the obstacles and the hardship that I face, I went through it with the strength of God. I couldn't have made it without his strength. And that's so often what we try to do. We try to make it on our own, trying to fix things on our own and go through on our own when our strength is limited, but God's strength is never limited. To surrender ourselves to him, and that way, and make room for him to come in and do what he has to do.
Yes, I love it. I'm loving your responses. I love it. That's good because, a lot of times individuals are going through, and sometimes they think they're alone, in whatever it is they're dealing with. And you never really know until somebody shares with you what it is their situation is that they're going through, needing to overcome. So let's jump right in and talk about the origin of your book. I don't know if you have a copy of it with you there. If you if you do, you can hold it up. Overcomer. This is the name of her book, guys. And that again, that title alone should grab your attention. So what is she talking about? Overcomer. So how long did it take you to write it first?
Well, actually, it's a kind of a story with that one to get up to that part. Really, actually, I didn't have any idea of writing a book.
Okay.
How this book came about, my typing teacher, we was talking on the phone one day, and she said, you know, Jackie, you ought to put your life story in a book. And I'm like, me? I'm thinking this is too big for me, way over my head. I'm like, no, that's not me. And so, but I didn't tell her that. I just said, yes, ma'am. And when time went on, I just kept hearing, if it wasn't on the internet or TV or radio, write a book, write a book. And it kept on coming in my spirit, write a book. And I'm like, Lord, I don't know how to write a book. And so, but, and then it stopped for a while, and I'm like, oh, okay. But it came back, when God give you an assignment, you can't get out of it. So what I had to do, I had to change my mindset and my words, a way of speaking with this, about this assignment. So I had to say, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. And when I said that, that's when God and the Holy Ghost came in and showed me how to get the information and the instruction and on how to format this book to come together.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it took me, you wouldn't believe it took me 2 weeks to do this book, if you believe it or not.
2 weeks?
Just only 2 weeks to do it.
Really?
Because he would give me, when I was asleep, the Holy Ghost would give me things to write down. I would have to hurry up and just wake up and write it down. It was just amazing how it all came together, but it just 2 weeks. With his help now, with his help.
Okay. So 2 weeks to just write the book. And wow. Okay. That's very impressive. But then again, like you mentioned, right, having God as your guide. The spark was there, I believe you said, with your friend, and then you saw things. It's almost like you buy a new car and then you see that same car on the road so much, but God was just trying to get your attention to let you know, this is what I want you to do. Wow. 2 weeks. So when was it officially published?
It was officially published in 2022.
Okay.
It was the reason it took 2 weeks, because it was a circumstance that I was going through, and God had to kind of rush me, speed me up in that circumstance. So it was a reason why it took, that shorter period of time.
Okay. Now, I don't know, out of all the guests that I've had on my show, I can't remember someone that wrote it in that short amount of time. 2 weeks. So that's why I keep saying that's very impressive. But again, it just goes to show you, when God says do, God says go, you need to do and you need to go. And it makes you feel, I'm sure it made you feel confident in God, and knowing that this is basically this is all about you, Lord. It has nothing to do with me. And this is what you want. And so you were just going to be that vessel and that instrument that he used. So initially, who was your intended audience for your book?
Oh, my intended audience was it could be Christians, anybody that was, just struggling and need a way out, anybody that's going, through oppression, struggling and need somebody to help them, as a Moses, a deliverer, I would say,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. And so, when individuals write books, I've always heard that everyone has a book inside of them, right? Whether or not they write it or not, their life, each of us has a life journey that is different from the next individual. Even if you're a twin, you still have it. It's still different. So your journey in writing this book, you were encouraged to write. I noticed that you mentioned when you were born with a severe illness, and it was due to a drug called you got may have to help me out with this.
Thalidomide.
Thalidomide.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about this and how all of this started, because I'm sure this was the catalyst. Was this the catalyst for writing your book, about talking about your own journey and, how you were born with this severe illness? Can we talk about that aspect of it?
Yes. This drug was developed in Europe from this pharmacy company, and they marketed in 46 countries. Okay. But the FDA did not approve it in the United States. And this drug was for mothers that were pregnant and had a very bad case of severe nausea or morning sickness. And it caused a lot of damage. It was free. It was a very popular drug, and you could get it over the counter without any prescription. You can just go get it. But how it became to enter into the United States, it was this man in Europe that had, how you could have like a little side business, like a little wholesale business, a little side business. You want to make extra money. So he had this business, and his name was Richard Morrell. And he distributed 2.5 million pills over to the United States, to American doctors and clinics. So that's how it got over to the United States.
Oh.
And so this drug, it did a worldwide damage to babies when they were born. A lot of babies were 10 million babies were killed from this drug. And those that survived had disfigured faces, no arms, no legs, no limbs. It damaged their private parts, their internal organs, and they either didn't have any eyes or ears, no body parts almost, And so my mom, when she got pregnant, she had a very bad case of morning sickness. So she went to this clinic, and they prescribed to her thalidomide. And so I was born on January the 1st, 1968. And when I was born, my feet was turned backwards. And my mom had to lay me on a little scooter because of my feet and my legs. And so my parents, they took me to from doctors to doctors, which told them that I would never walk or reach adulthood. And so this lady by the name of Miss Hazel Foster, she was willing to help my parents. So she took them to Lebanon, and by the grace of God, there was hope for me at Lebanon. They were able to turn my feet normal, but I still had a long journey to start walking on my own. I lived most of my childhood. It wasn't a very good childhood at all. I lived my childhood in the hospital. That was my home away from home. Most of my life was in the hospital. And when I became the age of school age, I didn't go to public school right immediately because of the number of scheduled surgeries that I had to have. I've had 24 major surgeries. Lebanon was a pediatric hospital
Okay.
that treated people that had, deformities. So, and they were a hospital that did all of the surgeries. So I lived there part of the time, and the other part of the time I stayed at this hospital called Crippled Children's Hospital School. And this was a boarding school for the children that had deformities. And they could leave their children, parents that live far away, which like my parents live far away. So they had to leave me there, and it was without no cost. So that was my home. Just like a person living in a nursing home, that was home for me. And so I was among doctors and nurses, and the nurses, they treated me and the other kids so good and so nice. They took very good care of us. And so they would get us up early in the morning and put our clothes on and put us in our beds or our wheelchairs and roll us to the dining hall, and we eat breakfast. We ate eggs, bacon, toast, and we had it all. It was nice, and I thank God for, I was aware that I was taken care of. And so, like I said, I didn't go to school. So God made a way for me to go there. Crippled Children's Hospital School. It was a boarding school for us there. So after we got through eating, they would put us back in our beds or wheelchairs and roll us into this big old place that looked like the replica of the White House. It was beautiful. And that's where we went to school, and I got my schooling there. And so I will stay at the Crippled Children's Hospital School. I would stay there until it was time for me to be transferred to Lebanon for my surgeries. So this was a back and forth going on. So
can I ask you a quick question? So how old were you when you the first treatment was, you said Lebanon, or when they were able to turn your feet back correctly? How old were you then?
I don't have a memory of how old I was.
Okay.
When they started with my first surgery, I don't have no remembrance of that.
Okay.
The only remembrance I have is when I started walking on crutches and the wheelchairs and all that, and my legs was way bowed out, so they had to do as many surgeries to turn my feet around, bring my legs back in to straighten them out. I've had pins and casts, and like I said, 24 major surgeries, so that's a lot. So I had my last surgery when I was in the 6th grade. Okay. And so when I was in the 6th grade, I was kind of able to begin to start going to public school, but I still had the crutches and the braces. And so when I got a year later, when I was in the 7th grade, and I started going back to get my checkups and everything, they finally released me from the crutches and braces. And so now I'm 57 years old, and I'm going to tell you how thalidomide did affect me as I am now. I stand 4 feet tall. Thalidomide stumped my growth. I can walk. I don't walk with anything by the grace of God. I can walk on my own, but I can't bend my legs. I have to use my hands to get up from the couch to bed or go up or down the stairs. I walk with a limp. I have long arms. I have short legs. The thalidomide did not do anything to my face, and thank God for that. But it damaged my heart. I had to have immediate heart surgery because one of my valves had closed up because of a heart murmur. And so I have all my hands, my fingers, I have my fingers, my hands, I have all my toes except one. And so I thank God for that. I'm here today, but that this birth effect that I have, it gives me more determination to keep going, because I could have been in a pity party, feeling sorry for myself, but we all have to come to a road of decision, whether we're going to allow something to take us down and keep us down or to move forward.
Right. Right. Whoo, my goodness, you are a miracle. Do you hear me? I'm getting goosebumps. I'm listening to you and your story. I said earlier, we never know what an individual goes through until they share it. I still didn't know all of this until you started sharing with me. That is just, God is just so amazing. He really is. And I like what you said towards the end. You could have had a different mentality. You could have been, okay, I'm, saying that you're defeated or whatever. You don't want to, go through this life, with what you're dealing with or what you dealt with. That's just amazing to me. Let me do this real quick, guys. If you're just not joining us, I'm talking today. My guest today is Jacqueline Williams. She is the author of the book Overcomer that you have to get. You must purchase this book. And she's just sharing with us a little bit about her history, her journey, and how she got to this point. The catalyst for even writing her book and talking about the things that she faced herself. I had another guest on my show. It wasn't her that had the situation or illness, but her daughter was, and it was a totally different disease that they were dealing with. Incontina pigmenti, and I may be mispronouncing that, but it's just amazing. You mentioned about how at least for about probably a good 10 plus years you were away at this boarding school, basically, for other children that were suffering either similar illnesses or what have you. So you weren't living with your family at that point. They were your family. So it's just, it's just wild to me, how, things like that happen. Sometimes we can get in our own, thought process, thinking that everybody is living like I'm living, you know what I mean? Which is not true. But I love how you were able to write this book and to talk about overcoming, because that was a lot that you dealt with, Jacqueline. And I'm not sure what kind of mental toll it took on you, your parents, your family. Maybe if I can throw that question in and ask, would you know, the mental aspects that you faced during this?
Yes. Now, the other part of my story with this is that my mom, she left me now. She left me. She didn't want me. So she left me with my dad. My dad had to take on the responsibility of taking me to my doctor's appointments and to the doctors and everything. And so I had to go through that. And after a while, he became an alcoholic and he began to abuse me. I don't want to tell my whole story. You won't be able to want to buy the book, but I'm just telling you that little bit to tell you that I didn't have family. I had family that were living, but I didn't have them in my life. So I had to hurry up and kind of grow up quickly, and God would kind of place people in my life to teach me, things about my personal life or the cook or things like that. But I was mostly on my own, and I was looking for love in all the wrong places because I never experienced love. So what I I didn't have no unforgiveness in my heart, believe it or not. I didn't point the finger at nobody. What I said I was going to do, I was just going to mind block it, and I was hurt. I was hurt, and I had all these bleeding wounds and a hurt heart. So I said, I'm going to jump into these relationships, and it's going to heal me. I can move forward. It's going to get better. I can forget it. But all these relationships, dating guys and with friends, you know, they abused me. The same pattern followed from my father's pattern, jumped into these relationships. And so I didn't really value myself and know my true identity then. And so I just wanted to fit in. I just wanted to be loved, even though I was being abused, even though people was mistreating me, rejecting me, manipulation, all that I had to go through. But one day, I'm gonna tell you this, one day God spoke to me and he said, Jackie, nobody can love you like I can.
Ooh.
So when he told me that, I said, okay, God, you saying that nobody can love me like you can, I'm going to try you out. I gave up everything. I gave up everybody. And I said, okay. And so I gave my life to him, but I was still, you know, God would take you out of a situation. He would take you from the people, and you have survived all of that, but you still is injured. So what he had to do with me, I was still injured. So he had to do inner healing and a deliverance. He had to heal me, heal those wounds, heal that heart. He had to deliver me. And what I had to, the way I had to let go of my past, I had to literally have a funeral for my past. Ooh. I had to bury my past. And I had to ask God to give me the strength to walk away from it. Then I told him, I said, it's me, oh Lord. I said, it's nobody else. I don't point the finger at nobody else, but it's me. Do a whole new makeover in me. Do something for me. So I had to surrender Jackie to God. Right. So many times we surrender the problems, the situation, but we don't deliver us. He wants us to deliver us. And that's what I had to do. That's how I got through it. I went through everything. I was riding on the strength of God. Wow. It's more to my story. Y'all have to get the book, but
that's right. That's right. I love it. Look, she's telling you just enough. And look, it is leaving me on the edge of my seat. I have to get this book myself. That's just amazing. That is really amazing how things just kind of developed. I'm stuck back at you saying that you had to have a funeral to release all of that baggage and everything that you were carrying, and the situations that you dealt with that were not ideal. And you're right. We typically don't even address that. And we have to, if we want to get our deliverance. I see you on Pastor Pam. I was just thinking about you. Thank you so much for coming in. She said yes and amen. Totally. And she's got a story to tell herself, about her life. Oh my goodness. Oh man. So you stuck me with that. I didn't know that your mom had left you and didn't really want you. I don't know. I want to ask this question. I don't know if it's going to go into too much more of your book, but I want to know how or if that was resolved, or was that just because or was it resolved when you had the funeral to release all of that? The situation with you and your mom. I don't know if I can ask about that right now. That
what
was
is the
ever
question
resolved?
again? Was it ever resolved?
Yes.
No, my mom doesn't want me at all now. And today she has dementia, and even now her conscience is bothering her in the midst of dementia. And she's saying that, she thinks I'm there and she don't want me there. So that's telling you a lot there, that she never did want me.
Okay. All
But
right.
it doesn't bother me, None of it. People don't believe it, but it never bothered me because God had his protection and strength, all around me, just taking it through. It's just like I just went through.
Yeah. Okay. I get it. And everybody is different in how they take things, right? So we can fully understand that. Oh my goodness. Okay. So why was it important for you to begin your book? I saw the first parts of it online discussing this drug. Thalidomide. I think I got it. Why was it important for you to start off your book focusing on that drug?
Because I was so optimistic, because there's so many other thalidomide babies where they're adults now, and they're out there and they're still trying to fight in a lawsuit, trying to get compensated for this drug. And and I'm not going that way, but if God bless me to get compensated for it, but the man that caused this episode, he did apologize, but I just wanted to get it out there so people could see the display of God's power in my life, how he displayed his power in my life to prevail.
Right. So can I ask you this? At what point, how did you know that, or when did you find out that this drug is what affected you?
Well, my auntie had
Or when did your mom?
my auntie had told me when I was like a teenager, and then when I got pregnant and had to go to the hospital, and that's in my book too. I don't want to get into too much detail on that one, but when I was in the hospital, the doctors came in, they saw me, and they said, "Oh, she's a thalidomide baby." So that let me know, as well. So God was confirming it,
All right. Okay. All right. Because unfortunately, sometimes you don't find out stuff like that until very late or too late. But thankfully, you were able to, I mean, I know you experienced a lot, even with the surgeries and everything, to, correct some stuff. So I'm grateful to God that you were able to go that route. Because you mentioned about the others who were affected by it, and it didn't turn out so good for them. So we have to look at all the aspects of it. So okay, yeah, this book, your book rather, and you began talking about this drug. So how has your illness affected your subsequent life, your life after? You just mentioned a few seconds ago when you were expecting that your aunt was sharing some things with you. So maybe in that respect, has this drug or the illnesses that you faced, how have they affected your subsequent life from when you were a child?
Well, I was always, how different people, God just builds something in each individual, and he builds strength in me. He builds strength and determination. So, because I had the faith, sometimes we can have the faith, and that's good. But faith is not enough. But when you add determination to that faith, then you can just move on and don't look back, and you can do it. I mean, you can go. And that's what this burst effect gives me, the determination just to keep going, keep moving, regardless. I'm gonna tell you, when I was living with my grandmother, she would get me up in the morning, but I was the one, she allowed me to help myself. I got up and put my own braces on and got up and took my own bath. I had nobody to help me because I didn't want that. I wanted to do. So I've always did it. I did it.
I love that. I love that. And then you can in turn teach your children, those who come after you, other family members or whoever. How has that been? And you have children?
I have one son. Yes.
One son. And so he can learn from that determination that you had. And I'm sure you probably instilled that in him. How have you brought him into or helped him to deal with you in your world, dealing with this illness?
Well, I told him about it when he was kind of young. I explained it to him, and he just, it's just like, he said, Mama, you don't even have a handicap or this, you normal, because I can do anything anybody else can do.
Okay.
That's how I do, that's how I am. I'm so I'm so radical where I just pushes myself, I have to keep going.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's what you're teaching him, directly and indirectly.
Yes.
And just like he said, you finally told him, like, what? I don't see anything. You normal to me,
Yeah.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Because your children, of course, that's who, you want them. I think, I hear people say they want their children to be better than them, to do more, to go further. And when you're that example for them, I think that will help, in that respect.
This doesn't kind of happen up to date now, but when I used to go in stores or go somewhere, people would stare at me and want to know, what happened or make fun of me, but it never bothered me. Believe it or not, it never bothered me at all. I had a person to come and walk all the way around me and ask me the question, "Are you real?" And I said, "I'm real." It never bothered me. But now, people don't really do it now. I don't know, but it never bothered
me. Interesting. That is really your response is what's interesting to me, because people are going to be people. They're going to ask, they're going to look, they're going to stare. But your responses and how God set you up like that. I don't know if you realize that or not. God set you up like that because, like you said, you could have been one that, you maybe give up on life, because of, handicaps or, surgeries and, staying away at boarding school. It definitely could have turned out a whole lot different for you. But I believe God set you up in a good space to be his witness and to show others what he is capable of doing for each and every one of us, actually. So with that in mind, I'm going to ask you this question. Why do you think your life turned out this way?
The way that it went.
Yes.
So I will be able to help others and change their lives. Like I said, everybody has a key to somebody's life, to deliver for deliverance.
Yes.
And I could have died. It's a lot of times I supposed to be dead or on the fifth floor, but God kept my mind and he kept me alive because he knew I had a purpose on this earth to do. And when you have a purpose for God, he's going to establish you, whatever he needs to accomplish through you in this earth. You're not going to go nowhere until he's finished with you.
That's right. That's right. Oh, beautiful. I love your spirit. I love your spirit. I really do. You definitely, I would agree with that. I believe your life turned out this way so that you can help someone else. I always say our journey is not for us alone. It's not. We think it is. But God has, he has things worked out, and all things do work together. They do. And it's not about us, it's about him. He wants to get the glory. As we're wrapping up today, I do want to ask you also about your supporters and your naysayers. Um, Supporting your book, supporting your life's journey down through the years. Who are they, if you want to share, and how have they supported you?
Well, when I wrote the book, my family, because some of them are in the book.
Okay.
And somehow or another they went out and heard about the book and got the book, but they was upset about, the book, and they wanted me to take it off of Amazon, and I had to make the choice that I wasn't going to do that because God told me to write that book. Sometimes you have to, when it comes to your family, you love them, but when it comes to God, you got to make a choice between God and them, and who you gonna trust. I mean, who you gonna obey? And so I wasn't gonna take my book off of Amazon for them.
I'm curious to know, were they against it because they didn't see any truth in it? Because this is your story, correct?
Right. Well,
So
they were offended and angry because you know how some people of a family member, they want everything to be kept secret.
Okay. They didn't want
not
it out.
shared.
Mm-hmm.
Come to the light and be revealed.
Yeah.
So that's what was going on in that aspect.
Okay. And it's something too, because I'm glad you took a stand, to leave it where it is and allow God to continue to work through it, because, you can be intimidated. And I know, and I'll just share this, and I've shared it before. When I wrote my book, I was doing as God instructed, because I was like me, write a book. I had never written a book before, before then. And, so then me writing it, and I heeded the instructions of God. He told me to write it from my own point of view. I didn't put anybody else in it. And that was just how he instructed me, because we know how people can get, you know what I mean? And I didn't want to have to, go, okay, can I get your input? Or is it okay to put this in about you? Da, 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 da. So I wrote it from my point of view specifically. And on top of that, and you may have done this as well, I didn't share that I was writing until the book was finished. and published it, because I'm like, okay, this is what God told me to do. And so you have to push out the naysayers, push out the negative talk and those who don't want, things to come out. Because again, what did I say earlier? Our journey is not for ourselves. It's to help somebody else. So whatever role that certain different individuals played in it, they did it. I mean, they played their role, whether they wanted to or not. And, so we have to come off of, the shame, so that, again, God can get the glory. And I see you, Pastor Pam, said that's real talk. That sure is. Real talk.
One thing you have to understand is you have to understand the assignment.
I like that.
And when I say understand the assignment, people, you gotta know and understand that people gonna come, people gonna go out of your life, people gonna be angry, people are not gonna support you, some will. So you got to understand the assignment, that sometimes you have to walk this thing alone. Sometimes you don't know what to do in isolation. I mean, you got to just understand the assignment.
Yes, definitely. Oh, I love that. Hey, if y'all don't take anything else away from today, understand the assignment. I love that. I absolutely love it. And again, I love how God has given you to handle, certain things. I mean, think about it. I'm just gonna say this, Jacqueline. It's just me saying this. You went through so much, even in your young years. Somebody going against your book, oh, that's a piece of cake. That's candy right there. That ain't nothing after all that you dealt with. 24 surgeries, staying in the board. Baby, you don't like my book? Okay, that's fine. That's the least of your worries, I'm sure. At that point, you pick and choose your battles, and that's definitely not one of them. So let me ask you this as we're wrapping up. Have you ever doubted yourself, though? I hear a lot of faith talk, and I absolutely love it. Have you ever doubted yourself and what you were doing? And what did you do about it, if so?
Oh, yes. I've had times where I felt, I was like in my emotions a lot, and I had confidence, not having self-confidence and value in myself. And so I really just, I always talked to God. Even when I was a little child, I always talked to God. Even though when I didn't know him, I talked to God. And I would just talk to God and tell him about me, that I didn't have confidence in myself. And especially when I didn't have the love, I didn't know how to love myself. I didn't know how to love nobody because I never experienced it. If you never experienced a thing, you don't know. So God had to give me his love, and he had to give. I say it like this. You have to ask God to show you in his eyes, how he see you. So I had to ask God, Lord, show me how you see me. That'll help me a lot. Just show me how you see me. And so he had to show me how he saw me. And that made me better. The whole thing of the assignment, you got to stay in contact and commune with God, and things, it'll help you along the way, as you just commune.
Yes. Understand your assignment, stay connected with God. That's what I hear on today. I love it. What are next steps for you? This was your first book, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What are next steps and goals for Jacqueline?
To travel and just continue to I have new things on the horizon. I do a lot of outside ministry. I have God is still working with me on this gift, but I have a healing and deliverance ministry in the making. So so he's working on that, and I love to help people as far as homeless people with food and pantry. So I do a lot of that, but I'm on the horizon of moving to a different state, and that's where the beginning of my ministry start. Sometimes we can be in a place right now where God, like he has me, he moved me from one place where it was kind of, not protective there, but he protected me in the midst of it until he moved me. So he moved me to this place where I am now, where it's so quiet and peaceful, but it's where he wanted me so he could hear my voice, so I could hear his voice only, and for him to do the work that he needed to do in me to prepare me for where I'm headed, as far as my ministry is concerned. I've helped a few peoples here, but my ministry doesn't begin here. You can be in a place where your ministry doesn't really exactly begin there, but you're helping, God use you in at some point there. So I'm going to be going to my new place next, where he's going to take me, and that's where my ministry begins.
Beautiful, beautiful. I see here they're loving your conversation, and I am too. I love you guys. I just love her spirit. Pastor Pam says, "Yep, keeping it 100." Diane Crooks, thanks for coming in. She said, "That's the truth." And Pastor Pam says, "Praise Jesus." Yeah, we're grateful and excited with you for your next journey and what God has in store for you to do. Again, all pointing to helping His people. So where can they find you? Give a plug about your book and where they can find your book as well.
My book, Overcomer, is available on Amazon. Overcomer by Jacqueline Williams. And
Okay.
I'm telling you, this book is amazing. I mean, I'm the author on that book, but God is the author and the finisher of that book. Yes, Lord. So I give Him the glory for that book. And you can reach me on Facebook by Watchman Marie, Instagram, Watchman Marie, YouTube, Watchman Marie. And you can also reach out to me by emailing me, jw967431@gmail.com.
Okay. All right. And if you are, when you get a chance, sis, if you can make sure to go ahead and just place that on the comment section. I'm going to see if I can just share the book. If you guys can see it here. Here's the book here on Amazon. It's Overcomer by Jacqueline Williams. Isn't she beautiful, guys? She's so beautiful. And this is her book. Do a little close up here. Jacqueline Williams. And is Amazon the only location? That's what I want to ask you, where you can purchase the book?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you guys go, I know sometimes some authors have websites, but if we can just direct you guys over to Amazon, that's great. Make sure you
Did I not send you my website?
I don't think so. I don't remember. Let me see. No, I don't remember it. Unless you sent it. I mean, I don't have it. If you want to share it with us.
Oh, well, I have to just send it to you if you need it. I will send it to you because it has a long name. I mean,
does it? I mean, because I can type it into the comment section so they'll know as well your website. I like to let everyone know where to contact my guests. And she's on Facebook. You're on Instagram, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you should be able to find her. I am friends with her on Facebook. Her name on Facebook is Watchman Marie Williams. And she's on Instagram as well. I think that's Watchman Marie.
Yes.
Okay. And her book is on Amazon, and the name of it is Overcomer. And she is the author, Jacqueline Williams.
I'm going to send you my website.
Okay. And so, guys, again, we do encourage you to reach out and support her, support my guest. She has a great story. If you guys didn't get a chance to hear it, you can go back and listen to this segment in its entirety. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Get Caught in the Net.
I just sent it to you.
You sent it to me. How did you do it? Did you do it on the
email?
On the email? Okay. All right. So what I'll do, guys, is go back into her email and make sure that we have placed her website on today's segment. Okay. But you can contact her, go on Amazon for her book, Overcomer. And on Facebook, her name is Watchman Marie Williams. It's the same person. You can see the picture. Okay. And yeah, we want you guys to go ahead and just support. She's a sweet woman of God with a great testimony. And I am so grateful. I appreciate you for coming in and sharing, being transparent with us. Of course, we, didn't want to say too much today because we want them to be able to purchase the book. and they won't be disappointed. So here's her. Let me go back on here. Here is her website. I'm going to edit that last comment and place her website in there so that you guys can reach out to her. We would really, really, really appreciate it. So if you guys have any further questions for my guest on today, you can go ahead and reach out directly to her. Again, thank you, Jacqueline, for your time on today. We appreciate you and sharing with us, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk soon. And we want to continue to encourage others to become overcomers.
Thank
Anything
you for
else
having me
before
on
we
today.
end?
Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. Thank you for coming in. And we got a lot out of it today. So thank you so much. All right. Pastor Pam says, thank you, sis, for your transparency. Yeah, I would totally agree with that. It's not easy to be transparent, especially about your own life's journey. It really is not. But, God blessed you, and you're encouraging. You're encouraging to others. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So we will be talking with Watchman Jacqueline soon, guys. But again, thank you for your time on today. And guys, thank you for your comments and your input and sharing with us on today during this session of being an overcomer. All right, we all need that. We're faced with so much in today's day and time that, my goodness, learning how to be an overcomer, we all can benefit from it. We definitely can. So we'll talk with you soon. And guys, as she's exiting, I am going to go ahead and I'll just remind you that we will be
body and soul gets caught in